If Donald Trump does not prevail, whether tonight or eventually as a result of his efforts to get the Supreme Court to step in, and he does eventually have to leave the White House, what world could be waiting for him? Well, it's looking more and more like he at least thinks it's going to be one of spending a lot of time dealing with court cases. Because apparently, according to the New York Times, in unguarded moments, Mr. Trump has for weeks told advisors that he expects to face intensifying scrutiny from prosecutors if he loses. He is concerned not only about existing investigations in New York, but the potential for new federal probes as well, according to people who have spoken with him. And there's a number of different, sort of angles that could come from. Theoretically, inside of the federal government, some lingering thing from the investigations that happened during his first term. I personally don't think that that's very likely, but it is possible. But then you also have investigations, happening mainly in the Southern District of New York. Financial crimes. There's all of that reporting from the New York Times about his taxes. Hypothetically, could be investigated further. While he stays as president, it's unlikely that any of those would proceed very far. But if he were to lose that sort of shady, at least feigned legal protection, he could be facing some significant problems going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, remember, as a sitting president, he doesn't have to worry about prosecution. That's why he was so intent on getting reelected. It kind of kicks the can further down the road when it comes to prosecutorial issues, when it comes to the IRS audit that he's facing. Remember, he received a tax refund to the tune of I don't remember the exact figure, but it's about $79,000. I'm sorry, $1,000 refund he received. That's insane. And so of course he's being no, it was millions.
It was millions, 93 million I think it was.
You guys don't get it. Like $79 million doesn't even register in my brain, right? I'm like, how can anyone get a $79 million tax refund?
Hard work.
Yeah, please, a guy who went bankrupt 6 different times. So understandably, the IRS had been auditing him, but that audit has been paused as he's been serving as president. So as he's been basically raping the country as president. So he's worried about having to pay back all of this money to his creditors. He's worried about the IRS audit. He's worried about prosecutorial issues. His life is a mess because he is a terrible person. He engages in criminality. Right before he was inaugurated, he had to pay $22 million to settle the whole Trump University debacle where he had defrauded students. While he was president, he had to shutter his charitable organization because he was literally using that to enrich himself and to pay off settlements from money that the charitable organization was raising. Just absolutely terrible, terrible guy. And I'm here for it. I'm hoping that he does get prosecuted to the fullest extent. I hope he gets prosecuted the way an average American would get prosecuted.
Yeah, my fear though is that best case scenario, he'll get prosecuted the way an average, at least implied billionaire will get prosecuted. So this is where I'm just curious about your opinion in terms of the likelihood of this happening, because I've approached these sorts of stories for several months now thinking, sure, in terms of justice, it seems like sure, it would be just if he were to face some sort of consequences for pick a crime, but, and it would be, he's gone his whole life without seemingly any consequences for anything he's done. So it would seem sort of karmically right, but I don't think that it's likely to happen. Like just my gut, I feel like he'll use the money that he has, the teams of lawyers that he has to drag it out. I just don't see it happening, honestly. And really fast, the reason that I keep saying that, even though I know that I'm like being a buzzkill, is I don't want people to pledge even a little bit of their sort of mental state to the idea that we will get justice. That if today goes right, then we'll not only get the presidency, we'll not only put the country back on the right path, but that there will actually finally be a reckoning for Trump. I'm not sure that that's ever coming.
Right, I mean, I think that you're not being a buzzkill. I think you're being reasonable considering what we've experienced in this country over and over again when it comes to wealthy people engaging in criminality. So I have learned to never expect justice at this point when it comes to these types of high profile people. But at the same time, what gives me a little bit of solace, I guess, is knowing how miserable Trump is as a person, right? The reason why he's constantly on television and on social media complaining and whining about how unfair life is because he's a sad person. He's unhappy. And knowing how unhappy he is just a little bit of justice that I keep close to my heart.
Yeah.
You know, every moment that I have with my coworkers that's joyous, every time I'm with my husband and my dog or my family and I'm feeling happy, and when I feel at peace, I think about how I wouldn't trade that for anything. And then I think about the people who, have done terrible things and they bother us, but usually the people like Trump who do terrible things are just unhappy internally, and that makes me happy.
Exactly. We have each other. It's the classic Potter versus Voldemort thing. We have friends, basically. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.